today. All right. So I'll be showing you the mistakes you make today and how to overcome those mistakes to ensure that you are able to land a high paying job very fast. That's the key word right there. So our session today would center around the common mistakes, why most international graduates miss job offers, job opportunities, and so on. And I'll drive my session today with a slide. And I have so many case studies, I have so many scenarios, so many success stories. And I want us to keep our session as interactive as possible. All right. So feel free to engage. Feel free to, ask as many questions as you have. I'll be very happy to engage and answer those questions. Okay. So let's dive right into the main meat of our session today. Now, for those of you joining us, and you don't know, this is the first time you're joining an Amdari session. For us at Amdari, our focus is very simple and our mission is straightforward. We focus on helping you land a high paying job through work experience. There are too many people that have skills. They've gone to learn on different platforms across multiple areas, from data analytics to data science to cybersecurity. But you have those skills and certifications, but you still cannot land a job. And then you understand and realize that, oh, the certifications I have are not enough to help me land that job. I need work experience. And Dari helps you gain work experience in key areas, including data analytics, data science, data engineering, business analysis, project management, threat intelligence, or SOC analyst, just like you would in cybersecurity, is a cybersecurity specialization, penetration testing, ethical hacking, and GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. And for me, I'll be leading and piloting our session today. My name is Adeza Suleiman, and I'm the co-founder of Amdari, and I'm also the founder of 10 Analytics. I have over a decade experience cutting across multiple areas, transitioned from management consulting into data analytics. And over the last 5 years, my focus has been on helping professionals like you make the same transition. I have no tech background. My first degree was in industrial chemistry, but about 12 years ago, I transitioned into data analytics. So how was that possible? And that's how we've helped over 3,000 plus other professionals across multiple regions, most especially in the UK, the US, Canada, across Europe, to also transition into the tech ecosystem. My experience spans across data science consulting in the UK, lived and worked in the UK, worked for companies in the US remotely back when I was in Nigeria, worked for one of the largest energy conglomerates, the privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa, worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank of Nigeria. My experience spans across 5 sectors, and I'll be leading the session today, and I'll tap into my own experience, okay, to help you also do the same thing that I've achieved and help you land that job. And over 3,000 plus other people that have also been able to make the same transition. So I'll show you 3 key things today. All right. So if you have a notepad, this is where you want to take away all distractions. If you have a notepad, you have a pen, I'll be showing you 3 things. All right. Number 1 is how to overcome the common mistakes that has been holding you back from landing a job, especially those that are still in the university doing their masters or recently just graduated. Okay, I'll show you how to identify what employers want. One of the biggest mistakes people make is looking at things from their own perspective. I'm going to prepare this way. I'm going to tailor my CV this way. I would, you know, answer questions in an interview this particular way. But what do employers want? That's the big question. I'll show you how to identify and prepare ahead of that. And finally, I'll show you how to position yourself for success, how to apply, where to apply, how do you ensure that you are ahead of the competition when it comes to landing the job. All right. So if you are in this session today and you've sent out multiple applications, job applications, and you've never heard back, or you keep seeing UK experience required when you get into an interview and you're wondering, how are you supposed to get in without being given a chance? So employers would say they want 2 years experience. They want you to have experience in this career path, but you have the skills, you don't have the experience. So the big question is, if you don't give me a chance, how do I prove to you that I can do that job and gain the experience that I actually need to apply to subsequent jobs? Okay, so there are thousands and thousands of talented professionals. They go to the UK, go to other regions in the US, in Canada, and they end up being stuck. They are underemployed, doing the type of jobs they don't want to do. All right. For some of them, and I've interacted with so many people in this situation, their visas are expiring in December and they haven't gotten sponsorship. So the big question is, what do you do? And these are the questions we'll be answering today. And I'll start by using this very quick scenario, okay? Of this lady, she recently graduated. Her name is Bianca. She moved to the UK to pursue a master's degree in international business and management. And I want you to follow this story carefully, okay? I'm going to ask some questions and I would like to know your thoughts, hear from you. So Bianca has a certificate in project management, a PMP certification. She's moved to the UK to pursue a master's in international business and management. All right. Now, after graduating, she started applying to numerous jobs, multiple jobs, trying to secure a position as a project manager. All right. But she's got so many rejections. She never got one successful, interview. Rejections upon rejections with the typical conventional rejection, phrase. After careful consideration, we have decided not to proceed with your application. So that was all she got every single time she applied to jobs. Okay. Now she managed to get one interview. And that one interview, she was asked a question, a competency based question. And that question was simply, can you share a project where you had to deal with tight deadline? How do you handle tight deadlines? Remember, this is Bianca who wants to land a job as a project manager. All right. So she was asked that question. And guess what? Bianca had no examples to give. The question was very simple. Share a project where you had to deal with tight deadlines. How do you handle tight deadlines? But she had no answer to that question. All right. So she knew at the end of the interview that she had made a mistake. And part of the mistake she realized was, I have no work experience. I have never handled tight deadlines. So how would I answer this question in a way that would convince the panelists that I'm the right person for the job? So that was one mistake she identified. But I want to hear from you, okay? Looking at Bianca's story, type into the chat, what mistake do you think Bianca made? All right. She had a certificate in project management. She had finished her master's. And after graduating, she started applying to jobs. She got rejections upon rejections upon rejections. Then she managed to get one interview. And she was asked the question, tell me a time where you had to deal with a tight deadline. How did you handle the deadline? Or how do you handle tight deadlines? So I want to hear your thoughts, okay? So you can type into the chat. I think somebody raised their hands. If you want to speak as well, please feel free. I'd call you up to unmute and I'd love to hear from you. If you want to type into the chat, please go ahead and do that. What mistakes do you think Bianca has made finding herself in this situation? Okay. So Anima Shao is saying she had to give an example of experience she had. Okay. But unfortunately, she had no experience. Ikelomo. Okay, she had no experience, so there was no way she could have answered the question. Okay, so let's hear from Yusuf. Said she could have used an example during education. Okay, so she could have played a smart one. Okay, think on her feet and immediately answer. That was a mistake you think she made. I agree with you, and that makes a lot of sense as well. Okay, so let's get more feedback. We've heard from Kike Lomo, we've heard from Yusuf. Kelvin says, My voice is not loud enough. Adjust your mic, okay? Please let me know. Can you hear me loud and clear? Am I loud? Am I audible? Okay, brilliant. So, Kelvin, you might have to increase your volume. Check if you have your volume at the middle or something. Okay. All right. So, Kikelomo is also saying it might be personal experience, not necessarily on the job. Now, I love the way you've responded, Kikelomo, Yusuf, and anybody who has a feedback, feel free to type into the chat. I'd love to see it. But guess what? These recruiters are very smart. They can see through the fluff and they can see through your RBS, okay? And that's simply you giving them random stuff. They can see clearly that you don't have that experience. If you really cannot answer that question convincingly, she did not prepare her experience story. Oladele Sheyi says, again, that's simply because she had no experience. So I'll tell you the mistake Bianca made from my own point of view and what I've seen so many people doing as well. Number one, she had no experience, no industry experience. All she had was a certificate. Okay. All she had was a certificate and her master's in international business and management. And for anybody who studied in the UK, I studied in the UK myself. I studied in University of Bradford. One of the things you'd get to find out very quickly is you don't, especially if it's a master's program, you don't learn what it takes to do the job during your master's. You do a lot of thesis, theoretical stuff, and by the time you are done, you've done a lot of assignments, a lot of assessments, and you are wrapping up writing a project, and then you are done with your master's, and you are left wondering, do I have what it takes to do that job? Usually it's a big no. Okay. And this is what Bianca, this is where she found herself. She had no experience whatsoever. And secondly, she wasted time before she started applying and focusing on her career. And that's one point I want you to write down. A lot of people find themselves here. They waste a lot of time and they find out at the end of the day that, oh, I'm done with my master's. It's time for me to get a job. But I'm not prepared. I don't have experience. I don't have what it takes, what employers want from me. And I'm just starting to figure out how to land a job. It's a big mistake. If you find yourself here, it's going to take you a couple of months for you to, get yourself together and start getting jobs because you start getting rejections. You get frustrated. You are on your post-study visa. Your post-study visa is, reading every single day. You have 2 years. You have to get a job. You have to get sponsorship. And you are pressured to take that job that you ordinarily you would not want to take. Okay, so I'm going to come back to Bianca's story, but let's move to Michael. Michael, also a recent graduate. He had multiple certifications in cybersecurity, CompTIA Security Plus, CISP, CISSP, and so on and so forth. Multiple certifications. Because he wants to get a job in cybersecurity, he decided to register for a master's in cybersecurity from Solent University in the UK. After graduation, he started to apply to jobs. The difference between Michael and Bianca is Michael got interviews. Okay. However, he always never made it past the first stage of his interview. So anytime he gets to the first stage, he's knocked off and he gets an email saying, we're not going forward with you. And he wondered, what's the problem? Why do I always get kicked off when I get into the first stage of the interview? So he asked for feedback. I'd like to get feedback to know what I'm doing wrong. Okay. The first feedback was they told him he was good. He had good background, good knowledge in cybersecurity generally. However, he was not a good culture fit. All right. He wasn't a good culture fit. And what does that mean? And they told him specifically that the reason why they think he wasn't good to fit into the culture of the workplace in the UK was something they noticed from the interview. Whenever he answered questions, he put his head down. He doesn't look straight into the eyes, straight to them to answer questions. So And this happens so many times with people coming from Africa, essentially, and so on. And the Black community would, as a sign of respect, you don't look people in the face, look people in the eyes, and speak and talk to them. So Michael unconsciously would always bend his head down or look away, no eye to eye contact when answering questions. So they gave him that feedback. And because of that, they said Michael won't be a culture fit. He won't fit into this organization and work with us. He's not wasn't the best candidate for that job, essentially, because of that. That was number one. The second feedback he got was that he seemed too desperate for the job because he had no focus. Michael called himself a cybersecurity professional, but what exactly, what area or what aspect of cybersecurity do you want to specialize in? Or are you good at doing? Are you good in governance, risk, and compliance? Are you good in ethical hacking, penetration testing? Are you good in security operations, and so on and so forth? So Michael had no direction. He was just a cybersecurity graduate from Solent University. Now, again, I'd like to get your feedback. What mistakes do you think Michael made? Martin said for Michael, no real life project to show for it. Absolutely. I agree with you. And just like Bianca, he waited until the end of his master's program to start focusing on his career, which is a big mistake. I think Ikel almost said that's where I am at the moment. So you don't want to make these same mistakes. And I'll show you exactly what to do going forward. Okay. So what do you think? What mistakes do you think Michael has made that is stopping him from landing a job? Some of them are very obvious from based on the story, based on Michael's story. And I'll give you one. And that's simply Michael had issues with confidence. He didn't know how to interview. When you get into the room, how do you command the room? How do you start your interview with small talk? Okay, how do you look people in the eyes? Hello, how are you doing today? The weather is getting really cold, and I had a tough time, defrosting my car before I got here. What do you think about the weather, nowadays? Start with small talk. Oh, I was looking at LinkedIn and I saw the recent onboarding exercise done by the team. I'd like to know, how often do you have onboarding exercises? Or how often do you carry out team bonding activities and so on and so forth? Like I always tell people, your CV gets you into the room like it did for Michael. However, likability gets you the job. The people interviewing you are the same people you would have to work with. They have to like you. If they don't like you, you can't get that job. And if you go into the room and you can't answer questions in a way that shows them you are competent for the job, you've done this job before, you can do it for them, and also show them that you are confident in yourself and in your skills and your ability to deliver, you'll be like Michael and struggle to land that job. These are some of the common mistakes people make, and there are so many more. And I'm going to highlight and list so many more type of mistakes people make, especially those of you that have just graduated from the university. You are still currently doing your program in the university, or you really just, have been applying to jobs for a very long time and getting no results. So this is Michael and Bianca. Common mistakes that so many people make. So Bianca and Michael, Bianca had no industry experience. She focused only on certificates and credentials. Secondly, she wasted a lot of time before she started applying to jobs. She waited until, okay, I'm going to complete my master's. When I'm done with my master's, then I start applying to job. Your career comes first. Why are you doing the master's? To get a job. So if I can get a head start at applying, preparing for that job, I'll take it any day, anytime. Okay. So what could she have done differently? That's what I'll share with you today. All right. So Bianca made this mistake. Michael as well. Michael had no UK experience. And when I say UK experience, not necessarily working with a company in the UK, but understanding the culture of how you work. in an organization in the UK. He had no experience. He had never been there before. And that was why he behaved the way he behaved during interviews. He wasn't confident. He didn't look people in the eyes to ask, no eye contact when answering questions and so on. And secondly, he had very poor job search strategies, very poor. So for a career path that has specializations, you don't want to get in and appear as if you have no clue on what the job entails and what you want to specialize in. All right. And those were the questions he was asked and he couldn't answer. So his job search itself was flawed right from the onset. You don't want to be like this. You don't want to make these mistakes. I'm going to show you what to do and how to do it using examples of people that have done the same. They were students like you. They were recent graduates like you. They were on their post-study visas. They had completed their programs and really they transitioned. They did all the right things and they were able to land jobs. So I'll give you some very quick, examples of people like that. And then I'll show you practically what they did step by step. By the end of our session today, you would know exactly what to do. From today, starting from today, Saturday, you know what to do, the things you need to change, the mistakes you've been making to ensure that you get more opportunities, more interviews, and eventually more jobs. Right? Let's take Ene. Ene also studied in the UK, I think in Manchester, if I remember correctly. She was a student in the UK, but she moved from a student immediately after she graduated to a full-time data scientist role. But what did she do? Unlike Bianca and Michael, who wrapped up their master's program and couldn't land a job, Kelomo said he did not have goals. Absolutely. Blessed said Michael lacked mentorship. I agree with you, spot on. But what did Ene do to land this job, to move from a student on post-study visa to a full-time data scientist? How did she do it? Number one, Ene decided to intern. She did not wait until she was done with her master's. While she was doing her master's program, she was also gaining work experience. That's the major difference between Ene and Bianca, Ene and Michael. So she knew very quickly when she joined the master's that there's no way with all the things I'm doing, all the tools and technologies I'm learning. And I'll give you an example. When I was doing my master's, they taught me how to use Weka. Weka is a machine learning tool for a data scientist. But the big question is, if you go on any job board, LinkedIn, read.co.uk, CV Library, any job board, Indeed, Glassdoor, and search for data science roles, before you find Weka as a requirement to land a job, you might have checked, maybe without exaggerating, 2,000 jobs before you find one job that requires you to use Weka. So the question I asked myself was, why am I learning Weka? How relevant is this in the industry? So one thing you find very quickly, which NF found when she was doing a master's in the UK, was I'm learning tools, or she was learning tools that were not relevant in the industry. So when I get a job, how will I do the job? Know how to do the job on day one, if these are the type of tools and technologies that I'm focusing on. All right, that's just to give you one example. Okay, so Enid decided to do something very interesting. She joined an internship, and during her internship, she was learning the work experience, knowing what to do on the job, learning the tools and technologies that were relevant, and not just learning them in a classroom setting, okay, but learning how to use those tools to solve problems. She did that simultaneously with her master's program. So that was one. Ene also ensured that she had the right CV, the data scientist CV, to get her multiple interviews. So any job she applied to, she tailored that CV. She joined mentorship sessions. Okay. So Blessed, you said Michael lacked mentorship. Ene did not lack mentorship. For every interview Ene got, she had preparation, interview prep. Somebody prepped her for the interview. And because of this, she knew what to say going into an interview. She knew exactly how to present herself as somebody that can fit into the culture of that organization. And she got multiple job offers. Then, when it came to applying and how she applied, she had access to an exclusive job board, the Amdari job board. I'm going to show you what that looks like and why this is also important to your success. How having the best platforms to apply to jobs, applying to jobs that everybody else would not have access to. Okay. And eventually, in April this year, about 3 months after completing her internship, Ene landed a job as a data scientist with a company called DSA in Germany, working remotely for that organization. And I'm going to show you Ene's profile very quickly. And the reason why I'm showing you this is to highlight a couple of things that you must also do if you want to be like Ene, who got this job. Okay, so let's go to Ene's profile very quickly. Ene Ojaide, absolutely phenomenal professional. All right, I just want to expand this so you can see her profile quickly. So one of the first things you'd see is Ene. You both worked at Amdari. You'd see Amdari featuring somewhere. But let's go to Ene's profile very quickly. Okay, so you'd see that Ene did her master's. She did her master's in Nottingham Trent University. And she did what? She joined Amdari as a data scientist. So while she was doing her master's, at the same time, she was also working using the tools and technologies relevant in the industry. So that when she went into any interview and she's asked the question, the same question that the other lady, Bianca, was asked, tell me about a time you've done this. Whenever Ene was asked that question, tell me about a time you have built a machine learning model. What steps did you take in selecting your algorithms? Ene was able to answer. Why? Because she has done this before as a data scientist with Amdari. Okay, so you'd see all the things she's done. She listed them right here, and it shows that, and it shows any recruiter, it shows any potential employer that Ene has what it takes to do the job because she can respond to questions in a way that shows she's done it before. And she also has data scientists listed on her LinkedIn profile. And that was what led Ene in April this year to get this job working remotely as a product data scientist, working remotely from the UK for a company in Germany. So you look at Bianca's story and you look at Ene's story and you see the contrast. Bianca waited until she was done with her master's to focus on her career. Ene focused on her career while she was doing her master's. She didn't wait until she completed. Ene knew exactly what was required whenever she went into an interview. Why? Because she had interview prep. She had people who had done that job before prepare her for interviews. So she knew exactly what to say. She knew exactly what to do. This is Ernest's story. I'm going to give a very quick story again, and then I'll break it down categorically, what you need to do, how you need to start doing those things to be like Ene and Okpeyemi. So I'm going to list out Okpeyemi, and I'm going to play Okpeyemi's video so you listen to Okpeyemi yourself. All right? Okpeyemi's story is also very interesting. Okpeyemi went for her master's in she went for a master's in the UK as well, master's in data science. Interestingly, Okoyemi got a distinction, and she was so excited that, oh, because I have a distinction, when I finish and wrap up my master's, I'll get a job immediately. Any recruiter, any company that says I have a master's and I also have distinction would give me that opportunity. But guess what? Months went by, months upon months and months, application upon applications. Okoyemi could not land a job. So what did she do? She realized that Yes, I know some skills, I know the technologies. However, I can't answer competency based questions. Competency based questions are questions that aim to test your understanding of how to do the job. And if you haven't done the job before, you can't answer competency based questions because very quickly the recruiters would see through your fluff and know that you don't have experience. You've not done this thing before and you don't get past, the first stage or second stage at the worst case. Okay. So Kweyemi was in that situation. Her master's, her distinction did not get her opportunities. She came to Amdari, she built a portfolio, she worked on numerous projects, and eventually Okweyemi was able to land a job. Okay. So I want you to listen to Okweyemi yourself. I'm going to play and I want you to listen to her. She got a job as a data analyst. She joined our data science work experience program, but she got a job as a data analyst. So listen to Okweyemi yourself. And I want you to learn from what Okweyemi was able to do that helped her make this transition. And I'm sure you pick one or two things from Okweyemi's story. Then I'll come back and tell you what did Ene do and what did Okweyemi do to help them land these jobs. Okay. So let's listen to Okweyemi very quickly. That's Okweyemi right there. So what we do is we bring back people who have gotten amazing success after joining our programs, and we do a quick interview. Share your experience with other people that are trying to do the same things you've tried to achieve. All right. So Okweyemi was very happy to speak about that. And it's a long video, but I'll play just about 1 minute. Very important aspect that you need to listen to hear. For somebody who had a distinction but still couldn't land a job, what made the difference for her? Okay, so let's share that very quickly, and then you get to hear from Okweyemi. All right, so share the audio. So now you will be able to hear Okweyemi. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this video.
And then I came to the UK for my master's in data science and analytics. You know, I graduated with distinction, and you will think like, okay, after graduation, you will get the job. Yeah, application upon application. Yeah. And then you won't even get any reply, no response at all. I think they call it ghosted, like they actually ghosted you, that sort of things. And then you just want to, even after spending a lot of masters, you are just trying to keep on upskilling yourself, because in the tech space, if you close your eyes, by the time you open it, the world is far, far ahead of you. So you have to keep on upgrading yourself, keep on being on the top of you again. Yeah, so Amdari, like I told a friend of mine few weeks ago, that one of the best decisions I made this year is Amdari, and I'm happy, sincerely.
Actually, so how would you say that your experience at Amdari, from the projects you worked on to the mentorship and all of that, helped you go from being a job seeker to being job ready?
Yes, like I said earlier, that one of the best decisions I made this year is coming to Amdari. Before I joined Amdari, I think I was in a meeting. I think the first time I saw Amdari was on maybe LinkedIn. So I joined the session where they're talking about the work experience. It looks so nice. Then I was looking for somebody to ask that's gone through the program, but I didn't see anybody, so I didn't join. But later this year, I think around April or so, I saw the International Women's Day promo. I was like, okay. And mind you, I was on another training, data management training, because I call myself a lifelong learner, But Amdari just talked to me like, there's something missing that I need to really plug into, especially in work experience in UK. And then I came on board. From my first meeting, I tell you, it's been wonderful. And I want to give kudos to my team lead, Sean. the projects
Mhm.
we have done, the one we are still doing, seriously, it gives me confidence. Like, what there's no aspect that I cannot take on. You know, the Amdari experience has been so wonderful. And the icing on the cake is the mentorship session. Wow. They will build your confidence, like tell you you can actually do it. There is nothing out there that you cannot do. You know, it's been a wonderful time with Amdari. Sincerely.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause it right there. Okay, because of time, it's a long video. It's about, I think, 5 minutes. But what I'll do is the links to all the sessions, all the things you'd hear today, all the materials I'll share with you, every single thing. You have the link on my slide. All right. So if you want to get access to this, access to listen to Okpayemi, listen to the full interview. Okpayemi said something very instructive. She said the mentorship session was the icing on the cake because it gave her the confidence that she needed that I can actually get this job. Okay. So make sure you feel the attendance, listen to Okpayemi, listen to the entire story, what she did. Somebody who had a distinction couldn't land an interview. She couldn't land a job, but eventually she was able to get a job after joining Amdari. She talked about her team lead, Sean. Okay, Sean is the team lead of the data science program, and he's a fantastic professional. So you work with your team lead just like you would work in a real work environment. All right. If you get a job working in any organization in the UK, any organization in the US, in Canada, across Africa, you would have a line manager. Your line manager gives you feedback on the work you've done and so on. That's the same model we operate at Amdari. Sean was Opeyemi's team lead. So Opeyemi and other professionals collaborate to work on projects together, and they make presentation, they share their outcomes, what they've been able to do, and Sean gives them feedback. And as they work on those projects and build experience, they create a portfolio as evidence that they've done that job before. And I'll show you all these things, like I said, step by step. How did Okpeyemi do it? How did Ene do it as well? Compared to Bianca and Michael, who couldn't get opportunities simply because they did it the wrong way. All right. So you need to know what employers want. That's the first thing. The first thing you should always ask yourself is, I need to start looking at things from the employer's perspective. I don't care about what I know. I don't care about what I think is right. What does the employer want from me? Because I want to work in that organization. Okay, I want to work with NatWest. I want to work with Lloyds Bank. I want to work with um, Tesco Retail Hub and so on, work in their head office as their GRC compliance officer or as their business analyst and so on and so forth. What do they want from me as a candidate? And employers want only two things from you. The first one is a bit easy to get. And I won't say it's easy to get because a lot of people still make mistakes, but people still have an idea of what to do in that regard. But the second part is where a lot of people fall short. They have no clue. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do that second type. And the first thing is the skills. Okay, employers want to ensure that you have the skills. They want to assess your skills in an assessment center. If you're trying to get a job, they give you a case study. They want you to complete that case study because they want to know if you can actually do that job. Okay, so it's a given that you must have the skills. And for so many people, they have the skills. For a data analyst, you know how to use Excel, you know how to use Looker, SQL, Tableau. But the second part is where a lot of people fall short, which is the experience. Employers want skills and experience. You have the skills. You have your masters. You've done your masters. You're enrolled in a master's program. You would learn one or two things there. Is it relevant for the job or not? Perhaps not. But you have the skills. But the big question is, do you have the experience it takes to get that job? If you are looking for sponsorship, ask yourself the question: if I am an employer trying to sponsor a candidate today, where it's a lot more expensive for employers to sponsor because the minimum salary threshold has increased from 38,700 to 41,700. The average cost to sponsor has also increased to about £7,000 per annum for the employers. So if you were an employer, ask yourself the question, would you hire a candidate that does not have experience? Would you hire a candidate and still spend money to train and bring that candidate up to speed? You would never do that. Employers want candidates that would come in and add value on day one. And the only way they can tell that you can add value on day one is you have the skills and you also have experience. So you are not telling them what you can do. You are showing them that you've done it before. And because I've done it before, I can do it for you. If you are not in this situation at the moment, you are going to struggle for a long time to get that job. All right. So remember, employers want only two things from you, your skills and your experience. And when you combine these two together, skills plus experience gives you what? Competence. So in a nutshell, employers want you for your competence, your skills plus your experience. Like I said earlier, for so many people, they have the skills one way or the other. Okay. Are the skills enough? Are they adequate enough to get you the job? Maybe not, but you know where to get skills. You've learned somewhere. You've done an online course. You've joined a boot camp. You've done a master's program and so on. But if you don't have the experience, you're going to struggle. And when it comes to getting the skills, the career path you also focus on determines if you get a job or not. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The career path you choose would also determine if you would get a job or not. Okay, there are certain career paths that are currently on the decline. And if you get into those areas, what that means is in the next few months, the next 1 year, you find yourself out of work and you start to look for how to get another job, how to transition, and so on. So, what we do at Amdari every single quarter, we scrape data from the major job boards to analyze and identify the type of jobs employers are hiring for. So we look at the major job boards, CV Library, Glassdoor, Indeed, Workopolis, ZipRecruiter, Monster, and so on. Then we look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. Okay. And this is a report released every 2 years by the World Economic Forum. And it shows you the career path that are in demand today, that would grow in demand, and the career path that will decline in demand. So we look at this every 2 years. The recent one came out in January this year, 2025, and I'll give you a snapshot of what it looks like. All right. So this is a snapshot of it. I have the link on my slide. Again, you would have access to this at the end of today's session. So make sure you fill the attendance form so you don't miss out on anything. My colleague will drop the attendance in the chat from time to time. Make sure you fill so you don't miss out on anything. The World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report shows you the job growth and decline between 2025 to 2030, the next 5 years to the next 10 years. Where should I transition to if I want to get a job today? At the left-hand side, you have the jobs that would grow in demand. And at the right-hand side, you have the jobs that will decline in demand. So it's a no-brainer. If I want to get a job today, I want to be where the jobs are growing. And in the next 5 years, you've seen this somewhere, doing your research, over 72 million jobs would disappear in the next 5 years due to digitalization, implementation of AI, and so on and so forth. However, as about 70 something million plus jobs would disappear, over 192 million jobs would be created. So you want to be in a career path that would not disappear in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. And on top of the list of those jobs that are in demand today and would keep on growing in demand, you have the data engineering roles. The big data specialist, you see that there, the data warehousing specialist, the data engineers, the database and network professionals. These are all data engineering related roles. You'd see the data analytic roles and data science, the AI machine learning specialist, and you'd see the data analyst and the data scientist clearly indicated. And then you have cybersecurity as well, security management specialist, and of course, you have information security analysts. Then you have the HR analysts, you have the business analyst in the form of the digital transformation specialist, the process automation specialist. You have the BI analysts, the business intelligence analysts. These are data analytics related roles. And of course, you have the data engineers again listed here as data architects. You have the HR analyst and so on and so forth. So when you look at the type of jobs that employers are hiring for today, you realize that if I am not in the right career path, I might just find myself out of work. Or if I'm not in the right career path, I might never get that job eventually. So focus on the skills and experience that guarantees you a job. At the minimum, that's what you want to do. So we look at the different job boards. We do a job board analysis, number one. Number two, we look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. And then we do a regional analysis. In the UK, we look at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. In the US, we look at the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rates. And in Canada, we look at the provincial nominee programs. And there are 8 career paths that if you focus on, you will get yourself a job in the shortest time possible. And I'm going to list them very quickly. You have the business analyst, the data analyst, the data scientist, the agile project manager, the data engineer, the SOC analyst, the security operations center analyst, the governance risk and compliance specialist. These are cybersecurity roles, the ethical hacker and penetration tester. So you want to, first of all, like I said earlier, get into the right career path, learn the skills in those areas. When you've done that, accomplish that, you've learned the skills in those areas. The next thing for you to do is gain work experience. And you don't have to gain work experience by going to the office, working in the office to gain experience. You can gain experience in so many other ways. Remember, we are looking at what the employer wants. Okay, what would the employer focus on? They focus on high demand skills. We've seen the high demand skills. The next step is what? Gain experience using those skills. Okay, so there are so many ways of gaining experience. You can, gain experience working and contributing to open source projects, volunteering, freelance projects, hackathons, case study simulations, or best way to gain experience is through a work experience program or an internship like Amdari. When you gain the experience during an internship, working and collaborating on projects, having a line manager looking at what you've done and giving you feedback, the next thing is to what? Showcase that you've done that thing before, evidence that you've done the job by building a portfolio. And I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. When you've built a portfolio, you have the skills, you've gained experience, you've built a portfolio as evidence that you can do the job. Then you must have somebody that can provide a reference for you. And this brings me to another mistake I said I did not list earlier, but I'll tell you about it. And I want to ask you this question. You have candidate A and candidate B. Okay, candidate A and candidate B. They both want to get jobs as business analysts. Let me call that BA, business analysts. Candidate A on his CV has business analyst skills and so on and so forth. But their last place of work was in the warehouse working for Marks and Spencer. Okay, working for Marks and Spencer in the warehouse. And candidate B, last place of work or current place of work is as a business analyst with Amdari. So you look at these two CVs or these two LinkedIn profiles. They both have similar skills in business analysis, but candidate A, current work experience, says Marks and Spencer, working in the warehouse. Candidate B, current work experience, says business analyst working with Amdari. And you are the employer, the potential employer, and you want to hire for a business analyst. Who would you feel comfortable inviting into an interview? Candidate A or candidate B? Who would you think can do that job? Type into the chat, A or B. Olumide, I think some people are having issues with the attendance. You might want to look at that and get that fixed. ATM is saying the attendance form has some issues and so on. Okay, so type into the chat. I want to get your feedback. Candidate A or B, who would you feel comfortable inviting into that interview, thinking that I think this person can do the job because they're already on the job? Okay, Victoria says candidate B. Sydney says B. I'd like to get more feedback. And I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. Kikelomo says B as well. Thanks for that, Kikelomo. Kikelomo has been very participatory and helpful. Okay. I'll invite both and sample three. Recruiters, the interesting thing is a lot of people don't know. If you're on your CV, if your current work experience does not align to the job title itself, ATS would subtract at least 20 points from your CV. Okay, so before the recruiter even gets to see that CV and decide, should I invite this person or not, the ATS will throw you out. If your current place of work, your current experience does not include or does not relate to the job title. Okay, so that's one thing you need to know. Candidate B is a no-brainer. Any employer would want to bring in that candidate that is already on the job and that shows that they can do the job because they are already doing the job. And I'll take you back to NS profile again. Okay, I just want you to see something. Any employer or recruiter that sees that on NS LinkedIn, it says data scientist, they know that NA is on that job and they can see what NA is doing. But more importantly, it doesn't stop here. They would ask you for a reference. So candidate A and candidate B would have to get a reference because any recruiter would go through a background check before you get confirmed, correct? So they ask candidate A for a reference. Candidate A brings a reference for a warehouse operative working with Marks and Spencer. How does that relate to the business analyst role? Candidate B would get a reference from Amdari, operating out of London in the UK, to that same recruiter for the business analyst role. And that's where the reference comes in. I'm going to double down on this and also explain, okay, on exactly what it looks like. What does a reference look like? Every employer, and this is a mistake a lot of people make as well. They assume, and they assume wrongly, that because I have worked in the warehouse, because I've worked in a hotel as a cleaner, because I have worked as a care worker or something, that can help me get a job as a data analyst, cybersecurity professional, as a business analyst, data engineer, and so on and so forth. But that's a big no. Employers are more comfortable when they see that you have a reference for somebody who can validate your skills and your experience for that same role they want to hire you for. All right. And this is what a typical reference looks like. Any that got a job in the UK, this was the reference the company sent doing their background check. Okay. So Zinc background checks, you'd see that as a title. You'd see this came in Tuesday, 22nd of April, 2025. Hi, Adeza Suleiman. Please provide a reference for Ene or Jaide. Typically, you click on this link and you fill all the details they've asked you to provide. Because Ene has Amdari on her LinkedIn profile, I can provide a reference for Ene. Okay, and that is where the recruiter, the company, the employer also sees that this is a reputable organization vouching for Ene as a data scientist, that she can use these skills. She's used these skills with us. She's worked on these projects and so on and so forth. That puts you in front of the line when it comes to candidates that they're considering for that job, ahead of Mr. A, who has a reference from Marks and Spencer as a warehouse operative. And these are multiple other references. This was sent to Efemena, the co-founder of Amdari, data analytics consultant. This was a fixed term contract, okay, saying that the above named has been offered a position as a systems analyst with our company, and he has provided your details as a referee. This is another reference for Sheung, who got a job in cybersecurity as a SOC analyst in Ireland. So these are key ingredients and elements that would enable you stay ahead of the competition and get that job ahead of anybody else. And that was exactly what Jerry did. All right. Jerry, a phenomenal, fantastic professional. Jerry had, had some skills in Excel. He had some skills in SQL, but he couldn't land a job as a data analyst. So Jerry came to us. He joined our data analytics internship in June this year. And just 2 months after, in August, he landed a job with the civil service in the UK. But I'll tell you something very interesting about Jerry's story. And then you get to listen to Jerry yourself. Jerry, you can see the message is sent to his team lead, Emeka. His team lead is Emeka. Hi, Emeka. I just wanted to officially let you know I've landed a data analyst role with the civil service, and it's a level promotion too. Okay. I was asked to prepare a presentation on any data analysis project. I edited and submitted the first project, and it saved me a lot of time and it gave me confidence. I also spoke about SQL, the SQL project, when they asked me about data acquisition. Thanks so much for your mentorship, Emeka. Take your flowers. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Jerry's story. The very first project Jerry worked on during his internship was the project that helped him get this job with the civil service in the UK. So the problem Jerry faced initially was he knew Excel, he knew some SQL, and he applied and applied and applied, but no results. He couldn't get interviews. Okay, so he came to us, he joined our internship, and he had guidance. He worked on projects that enabled him gain experience. And the beauty about this is you don't work on these projects alone, because in the real world, you don't work in a silo, you don't work alone. The data analyst would work with the data engineer. You work with different stakeholders within the business. And that's the same way you'd work. At the end of the day, you have your collaborative project where you work together in a team and you get to learn interpersonal skills, communication skills. You get to learn how to be accountable, to deliver on time and based on the requirements and the needs of that particular problem. These are the other skills you get from collaborating. Then you also have your personal project that you get to work on your own. But the beauty about this is there is always somebody you are accountable to, your team lead, your coach, your specialist that guides you all through the journey. So when you build that experience, you put them in your portfolio as evidence that you've done the job. So this is Jerry, who moved from somebody who couldn't land a job. And within 2 months, he joined in June. He got that job in August. I'm going to show you the project that helped Jerry get this job. Okay. And then you get to hear from Jerry. And then I'll move into showing you the other aspects beyond just your skills and experience. Because skills and experience alone would not get you that job. Okay. It puts you ahead of the curve, but you need something extra. When you get into the interview or before you get into the interview, what gets you there? something gets you there. When you get in, how do you respond to questions? How do you introduce yourself using a framework that guides you on introducing yourself in the best way possible? All right. So I'm going to show you all those things as well. But let's first of all see the projects that helped Jerry land this job. Okay. So I'm going to go to Jerry's work experience program itself. So Jerry joined in June. Okay. So you'd see the June data analytics work experience. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through this, I'll probably play one or two videos from the stand-ups, so you have an idea of your interaction with your line manager and so on and so forth. So this was a project on optimizing order fulfillment. It was logistics based for a logistics based company, and also helping them optimize operations by scraping social media data and identifying sentiments from the data. So you have a project, and when you go to your first project, you would see, I'm just going to open this, and then you get to see what the project is all about. So this was the very first project that Jerry worked on that helped him get the job. Okay, so it was a data analysis project navigating the digital landscape, enhancing brand reputation with cutting edge social media monitoring. All right. So the very first thing you do is understand the business itself, the introduction to the business. What's the business all about? And so on and so forth. What problems are they facing? Okay. So currently, this business involved is a logistic based business delivering electronic products and so on and so forth. But currently, they have several issues with customer reviews, negative reviews, product recalls, product returns. Okay. So there's a negative social media buzz, customer complaints. Customers are returning products. So the company itself is recalling products due to specific defects and so on and so forth. Your role as a data analyst is to come in, help them address, get to the root cause of the problem, scrape social media data to identify the sentiments, come up with solutions to help them mitigate the problems they face, protect market position, retain customers, mitigate the crisis, and so on and so forth. So this was what the project was all about. And you have a proper project brief. Okay, you have a proper project brief on what is expected of you, what you're meant to do, and you have guidance all through completing this. And again, you get to work in a group and in a team. You would listen to Jerry when he spoke about that. Interestingly, Jerry was nominated to be the team lead for his own group. Okay, now let's see what the drop-in sessions look like. Like I said earlier, you have your drop-in sessions where you get to meet with your line manager, just like you would in the real office. They give you feedback, you show what you've done, they tell you that this is wrong, you need to do it a little bit better. Okay, and they give you guidance on what to do. They don't tell you categorically that this is how to do it, because that will be wrong. That is not helping you grow, that's not helping you gain the experience. But they ask you specific questions and guide you to coming up with pathways and solutions to that problem. And then they guide you along the line as you do that. Okay, so I'm going to show you one of the drop-ins. So you have multiple drop-in sessions. If you click on one of them, I'll show you where Jerry was presenting. Okay, so this is Jerry Olatonyo, the gentleman who got a job. We're going to listen to him, like I said. So the same project that helped him get the job, he was presenting it in a drop-in session. And because he did the work himself, he was able to own that work as his work experience. So when he got into the interview, you saw his WhatsApp message to his mentor, to his team lead. All he needed to do was to change one or two things, repurpose it for the purpose of that interview, and eventually it helped him land the job. Okay, I'm going to try to, let me make this audible so you can hear Jerry speaking about this particular project just for 30 seconds. And then we get to listen to Jerry, and I'll walk you through all the other things you need eventually as well. Okay, let me share this tab to make sure you can hear the audio. All right. So I'm just going to play a few, just for 30, 40 seconds. Listen to Jerry talking about this particular project, presenting it during his work experience, with us at Amdari, and how this helped him. This helped him get that job. Okay. So I'm going to play it. And again, like I said earlier, all the links to all the things I'm sharing today would be on my slide. So make sure if you want to get the slide, you want to refer to anything I spoke about today, you have access to that. So fill the attendance, and that gives you access.
So today I will be delivering a project, that I conducted for Streamline Logistics Solutions, and this is a data-driven approach to eliminate backlogs with an Excel interactive dashboard. So first, I will re-emphasize the business problem. And of course, one of the major problems was that the business has been suffering from order backlogs, and of course, this has led to compromised delivery timelines, and also it has led to increased customer dissatisfaction. Another issue so that the business is facing is that they're having issues with visibility gap, where customers are not able to have a real-time update when it comes to the progress of their order, and this has also led to an increased dissatisfaction from customers. And of course, this has led to customers getting frustrated, negative feedbacks. So, and of course, and the last business problem is that this has also led to increasing cost, where business is now spending, more than they should, of course, due to overrising overtime payment, and also the need, for them to spend more on expedited shipping to clear order backlogs. 5%. And
Okay, so this is good actually. So the only part that okay, now there are two ways to this now. If since you're presenting, you might want to make it less wordy since I'm listening to you. But I mean, like I said, there are two ways to it. You can as well leave it for people that are not in the presentation and might want to go back. So it still works. Yeah. No, this is your square.
Okay, so I just played a few seconds. You listen to Jerry speaking about what he did, all right, giving his recommendation. Then Isabella, one of the coaches, the data analytics coaches, you have Isabella, you have Emeka working with giving feedback. You heard when Isabella said, your slide is too wordy. If people get back to your slide and they want to see what you've done, make it easy for them. Okay, so this is what your drop-in sessions, and you have your drop-in sessions with your line managers weekly, okay, every week. Okay, so every day, weekly, you have your drop-in sessions, and this gives you insights into what you need to do, what you're doing wrong, what you should stop doing, what you should start doing. And that was what Jerry did. Because he made this presentation, after just 2 months of joining, he was able to get a job with the civil service. Again, like I said, we're going to hear from Jerry. We'll listen to what he has to say, and then we come back and start to wrap up. Like I said, the most important part, we've spoken about phase one. Phase two are the other areas, the instruments that get you into the room for your interview, which is your CV. Where to apply? Where's the best place to apply to jobs? If you want to get jobs, you want to get sponsorship. Okay, so I'll show you all these things, and then we'll take questions. We'll have a very quick Q&A before we wrap up our session today. And I have an amazing offer for anybody, everybody on the call today. Okay, 80 plus people here. So let's listen to Jerry very quickly, And let's hear what Jerry has to say. How did he move from being jobless, no job, to a data analyst with the civil service in the UK 2 months after joining Amdari? So let's go there. Let's listen to Jerry and let's hear from him himself. He's always very inspiring when he speaks about how he was even the team lead of his own group. Okay, and I'm sure you'd learn one or two things from Jerry. Okay, just give me 1 second as I try to address and figure this out. Okay, so that's Jerry right there. Let me share the screen so you can all see Jerry and we get to hear from him.
I've recently landed a job as a data analyst within the civil service, and I would say that this would have been possible without the support, the mentorship, and the community here at Amdari. Hi, everyone. My name is Jerry Olatoyo, and I just wanted to share a quick word about my journey as a data analyst consultant at Amdari, and how this program has immeasurably helped and shaped me when it comes to data analysis. And before joining, I would say that I had a passion and some skills, but I needed something more, something way beyond just having the skills. I needed to have the real world industry experience. And this is what I got at Amdari. I was able to work on actual projects that made a difference when it comes to the business world. But then I had the chance to work with cross-functional teams. And at the time, I was even able to, I was asked to lead a team, which I did. And this helped me when it comes to, managing people, instilled in me confidence in managing projects end to end. And when it comes to delivering insight that make an impact. And this program had exposed me to a variety of tools used in industry, Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL. And then I was able to apply all these tools to solve real world problems. And this gave me the experience employers are looking for. And I could say that these are the things that I use when it comes to applying for jobs, and also when it comes to engaging interviewers during interviews. And one of the takeaways that I would say was during this program was resilience, because there were challenges along the way, moments where I had to push through, of course, working on some bugs in the data, at the time, I had to manage different priorities, and then I had to manage deadlines just to make sure that I was able to submit the project. As at when due, it is amazing, fantastic. Like you really get value in this program, I would say. And honestly, it's been a rewarding journey. I am really grateful. I want to encourage anyone, whether you're thinking of doing this or you're in this already, just trust the process, stay consistent, and you're going to see the result.
So congratulations on.
So you all heard from Jerry. Absolutely fantastic guy. Fantastic professional. Just after 2 months, and we bring Jerry to come speak in our mentorship sessions, and I'll talk about the mentorship and some other stuff. And like I said, we'll start to take questions before we wrap up. Okay. So now that you've seen that, okay, skills are very important. Experience is even more important to shape me as the right candidate for the job. Where we now need to focus on, the final phase, is knowing how to position yourself for success. And positioning yourself is simply presenting yourself, positioning yourself as the best candidate for that job. You have the right skills, you've gained the work experience, you've built a portfolio, and I'll show you all that, your portfolio, where you host your portfolio, your internship management system, how do you book interviews when you have interviews, and all of that. So I'll show you that. But how do you present and position yourself for the job? Okay. What those candidates had, from Jerry to Ene, who got a job, to Okweyemi, who had a distinction but couldn't land a job until she could showcase that she had work experience. They were able to work in real world teams, not solo projects. Yes, you'd have your individual project, but you also get to work and collaborate on multiple projects. And by doing that, if you listen to what Jerry said, he was selected to lead his team by his team members. And what he found was he gained the skill to be resilient and to manage people, which he never had before. And these are the skills employers are looking for, the softer skills that you cannot manage, but you can get when you ask specific type of questions. He also mentioned he knew how to manage tight deadlines because now he's leading a team and he needed to deliver on certain deliverables. So how do I deliver on time? So when he gets into an interview and he's asked the same question that Bianca was asked at the beginning, tell me about a time you have dealt with tight deadlines and how do you manage tight deadlines? Unlike Bianca, who had no experience, Jerry would be able to explain. And it would sound very real because he actually did it. Okay. So Jerry and the other people who had gotten job had access to mentors. You have access to, you'd see me in your mentorship sessions, you see Efemena, the co-founder, you see Omomi, the third co-founder, and you see other professionals, industry professionals that would hold your hands to ensure that you succeed. You speak the language of the workplace. You don't get into a business analyst interview and you speak as if you are a different professional. You know the different terminologies, the corporate jargons you need to use because you've used them while interning and working with us. You get visible on LinkedIn and eventually you know exactly what hiring managers want. Okay. And that's what everything I've said so far can be categorized into three buckets. The first bucket is to intern, the second bucket is to package, and the third bucket is to apply. So you intern with us. That's the first bucket. And by doing this, you're not just gaining the skills you need, but you are gaining the work experience. Now, for some of you, you have some gaps in your understanding and your knowledge. And I'll give you an example because you never know everything. Nobody knows everything. So let's say you're a data analyst, you want to register, join one of the programs, but you only know how to use SQL, Excel, and Power BI. You don't know how to use Tableau. You don't know how to use Looker. What we do for you is simple. All right. We have on our platform, and I'll show you the platform. You have the Learn. The Learn platform is where you go to have access to short courses that will bridge that gap for you. Okay. So for anybody who registers, you have access to your profile. I'll show you what that looks like very quickly. So when you register, you create a profile on the platform and you have access to your dashboard. Okay. So you have your dashboard where you have your project. So all the projects you've completed, you've worked on, you have them here. Okay. You have your portfolio. Your portfolio warehouses all the projects you've also worked on. So if you want to see the type of project that Jerry worked on, I'll show you that very quickly. So if you go to the portfolio, data-driven excellence in order fulfillment, this was the same project that Jerry worked on that helped him land that job. All right. And then you have the Learn platform. The Learn platform is where I want to, quickly pick some very quick skills in the use of Tableau. So I'd come here, click on that, and I can easily learn how to use Tableau. And it doesn't matter the program you join, you have short courses there for you. Now, while Amdari is not a training company to train you on these skills, Amdari is a work experience organization helping you turn your skills into work experience. But we know that you might have some gaps. Say you're in project management, you want to get a job in project management, and you don't know how to budget in the planning stage of project management. All you need to do is come to your Learn platform, go to where you have budgeting, click on that, and you can simply watch the video. You start this course, very short. It's a 3 hours, 20 minutes course. So you start the course, complete it, and then you know how to budget. You bridge that gap. And that's what the Learn platform does for you. Okay. Then you have your internship management platform. And this is one of the best places you would always come to every single time. Okay. So in your roadmap, you'd see step by step when you started and where you are at the moment. Okay. So you started working on projects, you've completed your first project, you've had your CV completed, and so on. You've had your CV and LinkedIn optimized. So you'd see where you are in your journey to get into the end in your internship management system. If you want to book an interview, all you have to do is come in here. You see where you have interview. Let me maximize this a bit. You see where you have interview, come in here, click on book a session, and you can easily book your interview. Select the cohort you joined, copy and paste the job link, select the stage of the interview. Is it first stage, second stage? Select that. Enter the date of the interview itself. So the interview is on, let's say, Wednesday, the 5th of November. Okay, you select that. So we know when the interview is and we can invite you for a one-on-one interview prep session. You upload the CV you've used to apply and submit. When you do this, somebody jumps on a call with you to help you prep for that interview. So that's the first thing you do. And if you want to work on more projects, you can work on as many projects as possible when you get into projects. Okay, you create a plan and then you start working on multiple projects. So there are so many projects depending on your career path. Depending on the career path you want to move into, from data engineering to data science to data analytics to business analysis and so on and so forth. Once you've interned, you've covered all the gaps you have, you've started to work on project. The next thing is to package. And I spoke about this from time to time. So your very first CV, we do that for you. So you have the industry standard CV that is keyword optimized. And this ensures that you have the CV that gets you interviews. And we don't stop there. We show you how to tailor your CV to job requirements. Because if we've done it for you the first time, who does it for you the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, as many jobs you'd apply to. So when we do it for you the first time, we show you how to do it, how to tailor your CV, so you know exactly what is required to have the right CV. We help you optimize your LinkedIn profile. If you go to an Amdari alumni LinkedIn, you would know categorically that this is not your typical professional trying to get a job. This is somebody who does more, who goes the extra mile, who is deliberate about getting that job. It's always very clear. Okay. Then you have your mentorship and career coaching sessions. This happens every Thursdays, where you have your mentorship sessions and so on. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. So let's go there very quickly. So if you go to one of the classrooms, for example, let's go back to Jerry's classroom, where Jerry was able to land that job just about 2 months after joining. Okay. So if you scroll up a little bit, you'd see where you have mentorship sessions. And there are so many topics: mock interview preparation, you test your job readiness, success stories Thursdays, and so on. There are interesting sessions that you get to participate in during your mentorship sessions. Okay, your employability sessions, you have your LinkedIn optimization. We show you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we show you how to create one, and eventually you have the right type of LinkedIn profile. Okay, you have your CV review. After doing your CV for you, we show you how to tailor your CV subsequently, and so on and so forth. So again, we had a mock interview last week, Thursday. That was the most recent we had. Again, you have multiple sessions. And the beauty about this is these sessions are recorded. So if you miss any of them, you can always come back to these environments and watch it again. So if I click on this, for example, you'd see the mentorship session that happened last week, Thursday. Okay. So let me just move it forward a little bit. So this was an interview simulation where this gentleman, Rahim, who is a project management intern with us, jumped up. So we create a dummy job. You submit your CV, apply to the job. We get your CV, we shortlist the right candidates, and then we start to ask you questions in a live situation, just like you would get in a typical interview. Okay. So based on the feedback that you give, We then guide you, okay, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrongly, and so on. This is Brown. Brown is a team lead in agile project management. This is Efemina, the co-founder. These are professionals that have done and achieved what you've achieved, and they are giving you feedback and mentoring you on exactly what to do. And that's why you heard when Opayemi said the icing on the cake for me was the mentorship session. It is always value packed and always amazing. And again, if you have interviews, what do? Just go to your dashboard. Okay, go to your internship dashboard and you'd see where to book your interview prep. Okay, so if I go to my internship dashboard, go to roadmap, you'd see where you can book your interview prep. Book a session if you have an interview, and we prep you for that interview. All right, and that's where packaging comes in. Okay, we prep you for interviews, you know the right things to say. When you get that job, we provide you with a reference. And when you get the job and there's something a bit difficult, more difficult than you anticipated, we have something called the on-the-job support. We prep you, we work with you, taking into consideration data privacy issues, and help you navigate that particular challenge. And this brings me to the final part, apply. And this is where the Amdari job board becomes super, super amazing. So most people apply to conventional job boards. The same job boards millions of people have access to. So you get the same results millions of other people get. But what we do at Amdari is we subscribe to job boards that have exclusive visa sponsored jobs, jobs that are paid, job boards that are paid for. So not everybody would pay to subscribe to a job board, but we pay and we scrape those jobs and we send those jobs to you every week, especially the visa sponsored jobs. For other jobs from other platforms, we send them to you every day. And I'll show you what the job board looks like as well. So when you get to your platform, when you've logged in, you've created a profile, you'd see where you have job board. If you click on that, it shows you the Amdari job board. Okay. So we scrape data from CV Library. We scrape data from Flex Jobs. We scrape data from UK Visa Jobs, which is a paid platform. Okay, so you have access to visa sponsor jobs. So you see the jobs that have this title here. You see that here, says visa sponsorship. So these are the visa sponsorship jobs. We send this to you every week, the visa sponsorship, but other jobs, you get them every day. So before you start applying to jobs anywhere else, you start from your job board. Okay, so this is where you have access to amazing jobs posted every single day for you. You can go ahead and apply. So this gives you access to interviews a lot faster because your counterparts, your contemporaries don't have access to this type of job board, and this gives you interviews a lot faster. Okay, so these are the most amazing stuff. Just to recap again, when you've gotten the skills, you've gotten the experience, you've built a portfolio, what next? You need to have the right CV. We do that for you. You need to have the right LinkedIn, optimized LinkedIn, know how to navigate the job market, interview preparation, mentorship sessions to handhold you, get a reference from us when you get that job to help you keep the job, validate your skills, and on-the-job support. I'm going to play one more video for you and then we wrap up. Okay, one more video, Q&A, and how do you get started? We're in November. We got into November today. Before you know it, 2025 is gone. The people that get sponsorship in 2026, the people that get jobs in 2026 are those that position themselves for those opportunities today, not on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, not in January when you're doing your New Year resolution, but today you start to prepare for that. Okay. So this is Sandra. Sandra had a background in law, and people always ask me the question, oh, I'm a lawyer. What type of jobs can I get? Sandra got a job as a data protection paralegal. And what did she do? Sandra took her law background. Okay. She joined Amdari. She joined our GRC work experience program, which is governance, risk, and compliance. Okay, so governance, risk, and compliance. She took a law background, joined our GRC program. Remember when I said the career path you choose determines if you get a job or not, or how fast you get that job. So she took a law background, joined GRC, and she was able to land a job as a data protection paralegal. And I want you to hear from Sandra yourself. I'll play just the first, I think, 50 seconds or so. It's a long video. You want to listen to everything she said. So again, if you haven't filled the attendance, this is the time to do that so that you don't miss out on Sandra. But let's look at Sandra's LinkedIn first of all before we listen to her. Okay, Sandra Stevenson, Udushola Stevenson. Okay, so that's Sandra right there. I just want you to see Sandra's experience. Absolutely phenomenal professional. If you look at her LinkedIn header, it simply says privacy and data protection, governance, risk, and compliance. But she's also a lawyer, okay? A lawyer who has transitioned into the tech ecosystem in cybersecurity as a GRC professional. Again, one of the things you see is you both worked at Amdari. And what this does for you is simple. You can you can get your reference from us and you list this as part of your work experience because guess what, you did that job. Okay, so if you go to Sandra's profile, you'd see GRC with Amdari, and she started this job this last month in October 2025 as a data protection paralegal. What gives any organization the confidence that Sandra can do this job? Never forget, Sandra did not tell them she can do it. She showed them that she had done that job with Amdari as a GRC analyst. Okay, so we're going to listen to Sandra very quickly and let's hear from her. Sandra had gone through a lot. She struggled getting a job in the UK. She had worked in Nigeria with KPMG, but getting a job in the UK was very tough for her, especially as a lawyer. Okay. But this simple addition to her profile made the difference for her. Okay. So let's listen to Sandra. And I think this will be the last video I'll play because of time. I have more, but I can't play every single video because of time. But let's listen to Sandra very quickly. And then I take questions from you. Where's Sandra? Sandra. Okay, so that's Sandra right there. Like I said, I'll play the very first, maybe 30 seconds, 50 seconds. That carries the essence. It's a 6-minute video, but you'd hear what she has to say in just about 30 seconds. And you can watch the rest of the video afterwards when you receive my slide. Okay, so let's hear from Sandra. Sit back as usual, relax, and enjoy Sandra's story.
So how does it feel getting the job just few months into the program?
Okay, it feels great, honestly. I'm very happy. And so it's not a GRC analyst position, it's a data protection paralegal. But data protection is still like it still falls under cybersecurity, GRC, all those things together. So I mean, it's me, I'm happy. I'm very happy, please. I've gone through a lot. So I'm very happy
I can imagine.
with this
Awesome.
opportunity.
Yeah. So what specific skills would you say you got from the program that really helped? That's from the Amdari internship that really contributed, because we know you had your own part to play, right? So what part of this internship, the skill?
Okay, so Sandra went on and on and on talking about her experience. So because of time, I'm really watching time. But that's Sandra, law background, a data protection paralegal in the UK. She joined us sometime around March and she's gotten this job working. And again, for all the beautiful things you've heard today, from the CV to the LinkedIn to all the things she's done, that helped her land this role as a data protection paralegal. Okay, so let's get back to wrapping up our session for today. And again, if you have questions, make sure you pen down your questions. I'll be very happy to answer every single question that you have. All right. So, and of course, you have somebody like Betty. Betty got a job in as an IT project manager after joining our IT project, after joining our Agile Project Management Work Experience program. You have Judith. Judith got a job as a data analyst after joining our Data Analytics Work Experience program. She got this job in the UK as well as a data analyst working in the renewable energy space. Again, she had no work experience. She came to us, gained the work experience she needed, and she was able to land that job as a data analyst in the UK. You have Francis. Francis was a QA tester. Okay, he was a QA tester, but he wanted to move from that job because he didn't really get the type of job satisfaction he wanted in terms of salary increase, working remotely, and so on. He joined our Agile Project Management Work Experience program and he landed a job with Deloitte. Okay, landed a job with Deloitte in the UK as a project manager. And this was the message he sent to his line manager, his coach. One I think is Igbo. I'm not sure what one day means in Igbo, but if you are Igbo on this call, please type into the chat. What does one day mean? I just got a call from Deloitte that the interview was successful. Starting onboarding in August. To God be the glory. Good morning, sir. His coach responded as well. His coach is Brown. Brown is the project management lead, agile project management lead at Amdari. Okay, this has made my week. Congratulations, brother, and so on. So absolutely phenomenal. Again, there's a link for you to listen to Francis, but I'll tell you what Francis said that made the difference for him. All the other interviews he had ever attended, he could never speak about the tools and technologies he could use and how he had applied them in doing the job. But after working on different projects, he was able to connect those tools from Jira to Notion to Trello to Confluence and so on and so forth on solving real problems. And because he connected the tools and technologies to the problems that he solved, he got the offer and he landed that job with Deloitte. You can listen to him here. Okay. All you need to do is when you get the slides at the end of today's session, you have access. This is Toyin. Toyin had a background in aviation and she also wanted to move into a different career path. She got a job in project management as when she gained the work experience, had background in aviation, wanted to get into project management, and all she needed to do again was to get a reference. What made the difference for her, like I mentioned earlier, was she was able to showcase an organization that could vouch for the skills that she had. So Amdari provided her with a reference, and that made the difference for her, a watertight reference. Okay. And that made the difference for Toyin. She gained the experience and she was able to land the job. There's a link. I actually wanted to play Toyin's video. So you would let me know if you want to listen to Toyin or not. So if you want to listen to Toyin, type into the chat. Before we close and end our session today, I'll play Toyin's video. So you determine if I get to play the video or not. Okay. But Toyin had an amazing. Okay. Kike Lomo says play. So because Kike Lomo said I should play, I'll play the video. But Kike Lomo, I'll play before we wrap up today. All right. So for those thinking of starting, you want to get into any of our programs from data analytics to data science to data engineering to business analysis to agile project management to penetration testing, ethical hacking, security operations center analyst, or GRC. We have an amazing offer. We've been running this offer since the beginning of the month, not November, but October, and it ends in about 2 days. We have very limited slots. The next cohort starts on the 8th of November, and the discount is also very limited. Okay, very limited discounts. And this is taking the fee of the internship from £500 to just £299. And the beauty about this as well is you get to make payments in multiple installments. All right. So for any of the program you decide to join, you get to pay just £299. So you save £201, and you can make payments in multiple installments, which means for me to start on the 8th of November, the next cohort, I need to pay just £99. This is the amount I spend. I spend more than this. If you spend more than this when you visit any of your groceries, to Co-op, Tesco, Sainsbury, anywhere, Primark, you spend more than £99. But this is the amount that gets to transform your journey, transform your career picture. So you pay in 3 installments, 99, 99, 99, okay, until you complete your payment. And I'll show you how you can go ahead and do that as we take questions and wrap up our session for today. The discount is only available for the first 20 people from this session. Right, so if you are registering from this session, the first 20, this is the best time for you to get in. For those of you that listen to Okpayemi, if you've been here from the beginning, Okpayemi said something very important. He said when she saw Amdari on LinkedIn, she didn't join because she couldn't find somebody that had completed the program or gone through the program. Now and this was since in April, okay? So from April till date, you've seen all the people that have gotten jobs, like I've shown you so far. So unlike Okpayemi, who joined even without knowing what exactly she was going to get, you know exactly what you're going to get. That's number one. Then she mentioned something very instructive as well. Okpayemi said she registered when we had the IWD discount. So we had the International Women's Day discount in March and April earlier this year, and she jumped in April, took advantage of the discount, and today she works as a data analyst in the UK. Her distinction now she can brag about that now because she's been able to land a job. All right, that's where you want to be. That's what you want to do. If you want to, you want to transform your career, you want to prepare for the job market ahead of 2026, this is the best time for you to get in. Okay, so I'll show you how to get started. I'll come back to play the video I promised Kikelomo to play. And if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Okay, so for those who want to go ahead and make payment, join any of the work experience programs, all you have to do is click on this link and it takes you to the payment page. Okay, just give me 1 second so you can see exactly what I'm seeing as well. Right, so it takes you to the enrollment center. And all you have to do is scroll down. You can chat with any of my colleagues. All you have to do is click on this. It connects to your WhatsApp. You can chat with any of my colleagues. You see the terms and conditions and so on and so forth. If you want to join data analytics or data science or data engineering, business analysis, agile project management. So let's say I want to join business analysis, for example. All you need to do is click on secure your internship and it takes you to the payment center. All right. And you select your payment option. You can select any currency. You can pay in dollars, US dollars, Canadian dollars. You can pay in pounds. You can pay in euros, any currency. Just click on this. I want to pay in pounds, for example. Select British pounds. And all I have to do is to pay £99, my first payment, to get me into the cohort starting on the 8th of November. You can make a one-time payment of $299. Okay, you can make 2 monthly payments of $149 or 3 monthly payments of $99.6. And once you click on this, you click on secure internship, you'd see your payment plan. Your first payment is due today. You make the payment. The next comes in December, and the next comes in January. And that completes your total payments for your 4-month work experience program with Amdari. So you click on proceed to payment. All right. You enter your name, you enter your email, enter your phone number, and then click on proceed. You'll be asked to confirm your email if it's correct. Looks good. You click on make payment with your credit or debit card. You enter your card details, select your location, your zip code, and then you confirm payment. Okay. So if you're paying and you're in the UK while making payments, you won't have the currency switching fee. So the reason why you see the currency switching fee for me is because I'm currently joining you today from Alberta, Canada, and because I'm making payments in a different currency, so I have a currency switching fee. If I'm in the UK making payments in pounds, or you're in Canada making payments in Canadian dollars, or you're in the US making payments in US dollars, you don't have the currency switching fee. Okay, so that's how you get to make payment. The moment you complete payments, you get connected, redirected to an enrollment form. Okay, automatically. But if you don't complete the form immediately, it gets sent to your email. You can fill it at any time, or you can come back here and click on payment registration form. Okay, and if you click on this is just where you register all the details. You fill your name, your last name, your registration email, country of residence, and all of that. And once you submit, this is what gets you into the program. All right. So people always ask about the reference. How relevant is the reference? Amdari operates out of two major locations, out of London in the UK and Alberta in Canada. So the beauty about it is you can list your work experience as somebody who works remotely for a company in Alberta, Canada, or you can list your experience as somebody who works in the UK, operating out of London in the UK. Okay, so that's the advantage for you getting into Amdari. So I'd like to take questions before we call it a day at this point. And then, Kikeloma, I've not forgotten. I'm going to go back to the video I promised to play, and I'll play the video and then we call it a day. So I'll start the questions from the chat, and I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. So let me see. Okay, Charles is saying, for me, there is no question. You've said it all. I just want good work experience program, like you said, and I strongly believe I'll land a good job. Absolutely. Okay, so let's see more questions. Alaba says, I'm interested. So my colleague, you see the tag Amdari Growth would share the link, the same link I showed you just now, the payment center would share that. So the most important thing for you is to take advantage of the discount. A lot of people kick the ball down the road, and at the end of the day, the year is gone. We are in December, November, December comes, and then the year is gone, and you're nowhere close to achieving the goals you had set for yourself. Tammy is asking, good evening, I joined today's session for more information on the job board. Is the job board payment included? Once you pay all the payments I've listed so far, £299 for the total payments, which you can break into monthly installments of £99.6. You don't pay a dime for anything else. All right. Everything we've talked about, from the work experience to presenting and positioning you for the job, your CV, your LinkedIn, interview prep. And the beauty is you could have joined us last year, for example, 2024, and you have an interview today. You can still book an interview prep, and we will still prepare you for that interview. Okay. So to your job board, applying on the job boards, getting a reference from us, you don't pay a dime for that. Okay, there is no extra fees, no hidden fees, or whatever the case is. What you see is what you pay, which is the £299, and this is discounted. Going into December, the fees would increase to the original fee, and we go back to £500 for the 4-month work experience program. Okay, Tammy said, I'm currently in GRC, which ends Tuesday. I would like to confirm if we are eligible. Absolutely, you are, for the job support, Tammy. Okay. Oluwatobi, if I don't have tech background at all, can I go ahead and join and trust that the short courses would suffice? Not now, Oluwatobi. Okay, so the kind of people, the kind of professionals we bring on board are those that have some skills. We don't expect that you have all the skills, but you have considerable level of skills. So let's say um, you are considering getting into a career path and you require 10 skills to land a job, but you know five. You don't have the other five. Yes, you can join. Okay. And you'd have enough time to cover that gap for the other five skills or the five tools and technologies. But if you don't have any background at all, because we don't operate in a like your typical learning environment, you might find it a bit challenging. So the first thing I'll do is, if I were you, um, Oluwatobi, is go gain some skills in the area where you want to get that job, and then we help you gain the work experience that you need. Alaba is asking, I've got lots to ask. I've joined late. So if you've joined late, Alaba, fill the attendance. The recording will be made available, and you can watch and listen to all the things I've said over the past almost 2 hours now. Okay. Mansour is saying, thank you for the insightful session. Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, Mansour. Could you please shed more light on the structure of the session, the DA experience? What days of the week? Fantastic question. So again, because you have diverse, we have a diverse set of professionals joining. For some of you, you are still doing your programs, your masters, you're in school. For some of you, you've graduated, but you have multiple shifts, and this takes so much of your time. The time you have to meet with your line managers are flexible. So we can work with your timing in a way that if you can't meet the weekday drop-in sessions, you can join a drop-in session during the weekend. All right. But what happens typically is you get onboarded on a project with your line manager. You are directed and guided on what to do. You know the expectations, you know the outcome of what this project should look like, and then you get to it. While working on the project, if you have a challenge, you have a group in WhatsApp, Slack, where you can ask questions, and your line manager can jump on a call with you to answer those questions. So you're not stuck at any point in time. They guide you on ensuring that you're able to complete that project. Okay. When you're done with that, you move on to the next project. The next project might be a project where you collaborate with other professionals. All right. And we connect people in the same locations. If you're in the UK, you work with people in the UK so that you don't have issues with time zones and so on. If you're in Canada, you work with other people in Canada and so on and so forth. All right. So it is you working on projects, getting guidance, and reporting what you've done in the form of a presentation and showing what you've been able to accomplish, and you get feedback on what you've done. And at the end of the day, everything you do gets into your portfolio. If you go to Ene or Jaide that I listed earlier, and you go to Ene's LinkedIn, you'd see her GitHub portfolio. Okay, you'd see her GitHub portfolio. All right, and on the Amdari's project platform, you also have access to your portfolio. Okay, so all the projects you've worked on, you have them right here. Okay, so you can click on any of the projects. You can also share the link. If I want to send you the link to my portfolio, all I have to do is click on this and I can copy the link and I can share that. I can put it on my CV, put it on my LinkedIn and share with you. I can share across any of these platforms. Okay, so that's the beauty about having a one-stop shop for everything that you need when it comes to your profile and showcasing that you have the experience to do the job. I hope I answered the question to the gentleman who asked that question. I think that was Alaba that asked the question. Sorry, that was Mansoor that asked the question. So let's go to Emmanuel's question. As a website developer, if I register, am I going to be trained in ethical hacking? So it depends on the program you are interested in getting into. Okay, Emmanuel. But one thing you also want to do is you can book a clarity session where you join one of our career coaches. The link to the clarity session will be sent to you as well. So even if you've made payments, but you still have questions, you want to speak to somebody, a real person, you would have that link sent to you after this session, as long as you fill the attendance. And you can book a clarity session. You join one of our co-founders, Omomi, and you also get to join our career coaches, and they guide you on what to choose if you're confused on what to choose. Emmanuel. Okay. Can you confirm what the success rate is after completing the program, Oluwatobi? So it varies depending on the program, number one, and also depending on how fast people get jobs. Okay. In terms of the success rate of people landing that actually get jobs, it's 87% success rate. However, for some people, it might take 2 months. For some, it might take 6 months. For some, it might take 4 months and so on. So it varies in terms of the number of months. But as long as you have the skills, you gain the work experience needed, and you do all the things we say you should do, you will be getting interviews. We will be preparing you for those interviews, and you will land a job. Okay. Does the 299 cover all the stages? I thought I explained that already, Yusuf. 299 is for everything Amdari. When you join, you are in Amdari. You are a part of the community. You are a part of us. And you don't need to make any other payment. Oluwa Bumi Yusuf. I think Oluwa Damilola is asking, I'm writing PMP soon, and I'm currently taking Power BI and Tableau training. Which would you suggest I go for? Business analysis or project management? You can go for either. So what some people do, taking advantage of the discounts, is they start with one and then they move to the other one. So we had this gentleman who he just completed data science. I beg your pardon, he just completed data analytics, but he's also registered for data science because he also wants to gain work experience in that area as well. So Lua Damilola, what you can do is to start with one. So you've put the cart before the horse. What you're doing, Oluwa Damilola, by writing PMP, focusing on certifications. And that's the mistake I said Bianca and Michael made. When you start with certifications, you are putting the cart before the horse. Nobody cares about your certification. Nobody cares about your master's. Nobody cares about your education. They care about two things. Do you have the skills? Number one. Number two, have you done the job before? Okay, I think some people are unmuted. Please, if you can mute everyone, please do that so we don't have distractions. My volume was low, so I had no idea that I had people speaking. Okay, but Mommy, please let me know if we had anybody asking questions and I missed it. Or Lumide, anybody on the call, just let me know as I answer the questions. All right. So don't put the cart before the horse, Oluwadamilola. Gain work experience first, so that you can do the job first. Every other thing is just adding bragging rights to your portfolio. Okay. And I always brag, and I say this all the time. No certificate has ever gotten me a job. In fact, I have 0 certifications, and I've done this for the past 12 years. Okay. And when I have the opportunity to advise or mentor any professional, focus on what is important that will get you the job. And any employer today wants to see that you've done this thing before and you can do it for them. And every other certification comes after, not before. Do you? Okay. Let me see more questions. We have quite a number of questions. I completed an online Microsoft Dynamics 365. So can I apply for the internship? Absolutely. You can apply for Dynamics Finance and Operations. You still need to pick up 1 or 2 skills. Linda. Okay, I was going to recommend you join data analytics. However, you might still have some gaps to cover. Okay, so what you want to do, Linda, is book a clarity session and let's have a more extensive conversation and direct you on what to do. Let me see what's wrong with the payment link. So you might want to try again, Emmanuel. I'm not sure we have any issues with this. But if anybody else has issues, please just type into the chat and we get to resolve that. Okay, Oluwaseun, absolutely, and welcome on board. All right, so we have so many questions, and the whole idea is to end this in the next. I was going to end right at the top of the hour, but let me see more questions I haven't answered yet. Can one pay before the career path clarifications? That's the best thing you want to do. You want to pay before. And the reason why you want to do that is because it's only for the first 20 people. It is not open-ended and it is not for everyone. Okay, it's for the first 20 people to register, for the first 20 people to get started. Okay, so you know that this is what you want to do. Ensure that you get started, get registered, book a clarity session if you have more questions so that you don't miss out. We've seen instances where you get to see 299, you haven't paid, you join the clarity session, you got all your questions answered, you decide to pay, and 299 is no longer there. It's now £500. Okay, so you don't want to be in that situation. Make sure you secure your discount and secure your slot. So I'm going to play that video from the amazing lady who got a job because her reference was watertight and she had something amazing to show. Okay, Tony, I want you to listen to Tony. I'm just going to play 1 minute, hear from Tony very quickly, and then we start to call it a day. Follow Amdari on all platforms. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow Amdari on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, across all platforms, and we'll be very happy to engage with you. All right. So Brian is saying, I have MSc Finance. I believe I should enter for business analytics, but I'm not sure. Currently, BPP as a student funding and data officer. Just register for data analytics, Brian. A lot of people make this mistake, so don't make that same mistake. You can't join my session and make the same mistake. And let me tell you what that mistake is. Okay? Business analytics is not equal to business analysis. They are different. Okay? They are totally different. So business analytics and business analysis are different. Okay? So don't make the mistake, Brian. Business analytics is very close and tilted to data analytics. Okay? While business analysis, on the other hand, so when you say business analytics, the focus for you is getting business data, analyzing the data, extracting actionable insights from that data that can help the business take data-driven decisions. So if Netflix wants to know how many movies should we take off the platform for non-performance, a business analytics professional would scrape data from the data warehouse, looking at things like the average watch time for all the movies, identify the lowest watch times for specific movies, and based on that, say that people don't watch these movies a lot. And if we're thinking of removing movies from the platform, let's take out this bottom 5 or bottom 10 and so on. So business analytics, it revolves around data, extracting insights or information from data to help take business decisions, ensuring they are data driven. Business analysis, on the other hand, focuses on improving processes, optimizing processes. If something takes 5 days, And we want to reduce that 5 days to 5 minutes. We need to implement automation. All right. To take a process that would normally take 5 days, bring it down to 5 minutes. The business analyst would serve as the middleman between the business and the technology team that would build that automation. So, as a business analyst, you speak to all the stakeholders, gather requirements. What do we need to do to reduce this process from 5 days to 5 minutes? You speak to the head of departments, speak to the head of units, speak to all the stakeholders involved. You build a business requirement document that shows everything the business needs to take this process from 5 days to 5 minutes. You will then serve as that person to communicate the business requirements to the technology team that would build that automation. So you're the middleman. You get the requirements from the business, speaking to the business. You build a business requirement document, you translate and transfer that to the technology team so they know what to build to meet the needs of the business. So you ensure that whatever automation that is built, it meets the needs of the business. And when that is done, you would also serve as the change agent to make sure that that new tool, that new application, that new automation is used by the business. So you set up workshops, you set up training sessions, you come up with initiatives to ensure that the change eventually happens. So you're going to be doing a lot of process optimization, analyzing processes. What is the as is process? Where are the gaps and inefficiencies? And what is the future state of this process, the to be process? Okay. So, as a business analyst, your focus is on helping the organization become more efficient, reducing losses, increasing revenue, and so on. So, when you say business analytics, that is data driven. Business analysis is process driven. Okay. So from what you've explained, Brian, data analytics will be the best for you because that is what business analytics relates to. Okay. So business analytics, data analytics are synonymous, but they are both different from business analysis. And I hope this explanation helps. Let's listen to Tony and then we start to wrap up our session today. We spent some good time together, but let's hear from Tony before we wrap up. So where is Tony? I think Tony is somewhere here. So I'm just going to play, like I said, about 1 minute of Tony. Tony spoke for about 8 minutes, and you want to listen to every single thing Tony said. Okay. So I'm going to play Tony's video. Sit back, relax, listen to Tony. Would come back, wrap up the session, and would have had an amazing Saturday together.
On landing the job as a project manager?
It feels very good, and I feel very happy and elated to see that the hard work that I put into the program paid off eventually. I know coming from background in aviation and then also going into project management, I wanted something more structured, something that I could work with, something that I can build my career on. And then that was why I actually decided to do the project management. I know I've been in planning, I've been doing it using experience basically and what I could learn on the job. So it wasn't very structured. So I wanted a situation whereby I would get a structured learning tailored to a particular profession. And then that was what I got coming into Amdari. It's been a rewarding experience for me.
Amazing, amazing. So what specific aspect of the,
Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. Twain spoke for another 7 to 8 minutes, and we can't listen to all the video right here. But again, you have everything on my slide. When you get the slide, make sure you watch all the videos, listen to these amazing professionals, And from there, you start to get inspired on how to get started, what you need to do. Remember, you don't want to make the mistakes Bianca and Michael made, waiting until it is too late to start focusing on your career. Even though you're doing your master's or you just wrapped up, this is the best time for you to start learning the skills that would enable you compete for that job. Also, don't focus on just certificates. All right. That is putting the cart before the horse. Focus on competence, your skills, and your experience. And when you have that, make sure you have a portfolio as evidence that you've done those things before. All right. And don't forget, you must have people at your corner that can guide you on what to do. Okay. When you have an interview, how do you prepare? When you get the job offer, how do you ensure that you get a reference that showcases that you've done this before? People that can validate your skills and ensure that that offer sticks and you remain on the job. Okay. And that's what we stand for at Amdari. Follow us across all platforms. I'll be looking forward to working with every single one of you starting on the 8th of November. The early Black Friday discount is only for the first 20 people to register. You don't want to miss the discount. If you've gotten value for your time today, spending time with us today, spending your Saturday evening with us, just type in a yes into the chat. Okay, just type in a yes into the chat if you got value for your time. I know we couldn't answer all the questions, all right, but make sure. Thank you, Linda. More fantastic. I hope you liked the video I played at the end of the day, listening to Tony. There's so many other videos. Always go back to watch when you get the slide. Follow us across all platforms, and I look forward to working with every single one of you. Okay, thank you very much for allowing us spend the Saturday evening with you. Have an amazing time until we meet in another session again. Cheers, everyone, and I look forward to working with you.